It was really where the change happens where you really hit the subconscious space and you do the processing within the subconscious space. It shifts your beliefs.
Welcome to Love Stories, a relationship podcast for successful women, where we talk about love, dating, relationships, and how great love stories are made. I'm Charlene Byars, and I'm so excited to share all the things that you can apply to create a beautiful love story of your own. Cheers to great love. Hello, Flora. Oh my goodness. We're ready for this conversation. I am fired. I am fired up that I have you here today. And before I just start going off asking you all the questions, and I'm just so excited. First of all, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to have this conversation and be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And what I would love is for you to go ahead and just, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are and, give us your professional bio so we know who we're talking to. We can get into your world. Let's start from there.
Okay. I'm Flora Ong. I am the founder of Redo Love, which is my coaching company. I am an attachment specialist, right? So I really focus on attachment styles and helping people navigate their attachment styles so that they can find healthy love.
Fantastic. And that's exactly what we need. So let me ask you this. Okay. So one of the first questions I was thinking about this, and I really wanted to ask you this, because I know that, you are a relationship and dating expert. And like you said, you just deal with, people in their attachments. And would you say primarily you deal more with women or men and women? I mean, just in general.
It really is a 50-50 split, actually. And I do see, it's kind of a 50-50 split for me.
You kind of primarily, 50-50. And for the Love Stories community and our listeners, we really, truly, genuinely have both. Because you know what? Love is love. Love is for all of us. I get it.
Yeah.
So, but for just to start today, I want to focus a little bit more on the ladies. And I want to ask you this, when you're working with, people and it comes to the matters of the heart, what are you noticing for the most part is really truly getting in the way when it comes from them having, those relationships that they truly desire?
It's a great question to start. I think the thing that I find, that I've really been nailing down after years of doing this is it's people's inability to be authentically themselves.
Oh,
yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. What's going on there?
So, we are born and we are the most purest version of self we will ever be. Right? Nobody's gotten in there with their thoughts and ideas and fears and anxieties and, good things and bad things, and we are then conditioned, right? We're conditioned through society. We're conditioned through our, religious worshiping places. We are conditioned through our schools, through, any institutions and through media. Really, really a lot through media as well, right? Because it has a big effect on the culture.
Absolutely. Big impact.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then via all those things, we become who we are, not because we chose it, but because we're living in reaction to it, right? Again, and that can go in a positive way and it can also go in a negative way, right? Like, so because we're just living in reaction to what is kind of forced on us in a sense, we become that version of person, right? And that's how we adopt our personality. And that's how we develop our own personal fears and anxieties. And that's how we, start hating our bodies, let's say, or that's how we start thinking that, only a man over 6 foot is acceptable to date, and then we wonder why, right? I mean, those are just like kind of
No,
pretty
that's good.
obvious
Yeah.
examples, right?
Yeah.
But, there's a million different things that come along with it, like what you're supposed to say or what you're not supposed to say or what's acceptable, to what type of personality is acceptable or not. So, and then we get into a relationship and then we wonder, why can I find a deep connection? And really it's because you've never really had a deep connection with yourself, let alone
Ooh,
a deep connection
wow.
with
That's
this other
really,
person. Yeah. Yeah.
wow. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Because when I asked you this question,
Hmm.
wow, it really does. It's stemming from that connection with ourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take another layer there.
Okay.
So when it comes to why, we are not having those relationships that we crave,
Hmm.
you know, we're like, what's the missing link there? And I know there's a lot of layers here. I know that.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm specifically asking you
Mhm.
this, right? Um, maybe it really is coming down to that clarity of who we are.
Mhm.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think that a lot of times in this process of becoming like an
Yes.
adult from childhood,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
We are told we're supposed to get married, have kids, and get a job and live happily ever after kinds of thing. But what most people find, whichever version of that you ascribe to, is it's not everything that I like. I did everything right. What I hear a lot is I did everything right.
Yeah.
I went to church, every Sunday. I got my degree like I was supposed to. I was in a sorority like somebody told me to do. I did all these things. Why am I still not there? Why am I still not happy?
Okay. Smart.
And a lot of the times it's because you've never really met yourself. Like you did all of these things because you were told to do it, because you were told it was going to get you the things that you wanted, but you never lived for you. You never decided, you know what? Like, I don't think that, this fraternity, whatever sorority is for me. I don't really like it. I know I'm supposed to be doing it, but I never really liked it. I don't like these people, you know? And then you're just living some sort of life that isn't your own. You're living some sort of life that was prescribed on television or, whatever in the collective consciousness. And then you're having relationships in order to also meet that criteria.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Like
Yes.
now I want to have a relationship because by this point in my life, I'm supposed to be married. I'm
Okay.
supposed to have kids. And then you end up settling and also changing your own personality, right? In order to have that relationship, in order to keep that relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can see this happening over and over again.
Yeah.
I really can see this
Mhm.
happening. And really that's why I created this podcast, to have these conversations. So people can realize that, you know what, you're not alone.
Right.
And these conversations are so important because it starts giving you, a different perspective,
Mm-hmm.
a different clarity on maybe like, huh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
So for the listeners, for the, Little Stories community, and they're like, okay, ladies, you got my attention here. This is good. You're getting my attention. If somebody is finding themselves not really able to have, like we just talked about, that type of romantic relationship connection,
Mm-hmm.
what is like something that they can actually just start? What is something that they can do to just start changing a little bit and just start being aware of things a little bit?
Mm-hmm. So I think awareness is, like where everything begins, right? First of all, you need to be aware of what what are the issues? Like, why aren't I, right? Like we start with, why isn't this working for me?
Okay. Yeah,
Well,
that's good. Yeah.
And here I am doing all the things I'm supposed to do, but it's not working, right?
Yeah.
And then, I think the first place that's almost easiest to start for a lot of people is at your triggers. Like, what am I triggered by? Why am I so triggered by this?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Why am I so triggered by this particular thing this person said to me? Somebody asked me, like, for example, right, this is a big thing that comes up a lot, like, oh, why are you still single? Right.
Ooh,
And
okay.
I hate that question. I get so annoyed. Why isn't it, like, well, why are you so triggered by it? You know what I mean? What is so triggering about being single? Right. And from there, you start to unweave. Well, I was supposed to be married by now. They said I was supposed to be. And now I'm getting older. And now maybe I won't have kids. And I have to have kids. How can I not have kids? And now I'm kind of not, I no longer fit in to the mold that was set. Well, why is that a problem? And then you start kind of digging further and further in, and you start finding out a lot about the conditioning, and also just a lot about why is this really important to me? Sometimes people like unweave these things and figure out like, maybe I could be happy. Maybe there are other ways I could be happy. Like maybe I don't have to have this prescription of life, this
Oh,
prescribed.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Talk more about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So if they are in that phase right now, and they're listening to that, and they're like, okay, this is making a little sense here to me, because again, I know this is what you and I do for a living. So we talk about all this stuff day in and day out. But I know for so many people, this is new information. We're like legit, like new information. They're like, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? Because we're honestly here. Everyone, listen, this is the best. We're here to have these conversations and provide tools so you can apply it into your own life. You can get help. You can get support. Because, this really affects all of us. The relationships. Guys, it's not just the man or the woman. We are all like, let's just go and have some good relationships. What's up, right? Why is it so hard? It shouldn't be hard. No, it should not be hard, actually. No. It shouldn't. Relationships should not be hard.
Right.
Life is hard, but this is why we're having these conversations so we can take care of the gap. Okay? Okay.
Right.
So go from there. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So once you kind of know what you're triggered by, right? Like peeling that apart will give you a lot of insight into what is really the underlying issue and what we're really searching for ultimately. I mean, sometimes it's not that deep. Oftentimes, if you're actually triggered by it, and I don't just mean like viscerally triggered, right? Like your body is reactive to it, then it's something really important, and once you can start peeling that apart, you will oftentimes find that it comes down to some sort of core wound, right? Okay. Core wound, meaning that a wound that was set in childhood, possibly because your parents were terrible, but most of the time not. Most of the time it's parents tried their best, did what they knew how to do, didn't do it perfectly right, and you picked up these kinds of like not so great attachment issues, usually as a result of that. And so, and then you start to like recognize that, oh, wait, I have this wound of abandonment. And every time somebody even slightly, I get this feeling that they might leave, I freak out and I get really triggered, right? I get really like anxious and I get really worried. And then you realize, oh, wait, this is an anxious attachment style, and then you can go and now you can actually really do work on that, right? But if you don't know what's triggering you, then, you gotta figure that out first. And that's part of what I do, right? That's part of what like it is to be like in this practice, right? Is to helping people understand what these triggers are, because a lot of times, it's like, for me, it's like the old paradigm, new paradigm. Like that's how it's like the old world, new world, right? So in the old paradigm, it's I don't know, like it's about the other person, right? In the new paradigm, it's why do I feel this based on what this person did, Like, why is this bringing this thing up in me? Because another person could have this experience and not feel anything at all.
Right. And I loved actually your example.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you said, because I think, for a lot of single women, not all of them,
Mm-hmm.
but that definitely is something, that I've heard so many times. And I love that you said that because ladies, let me say something to you. Seriously, this is so cool. For my single ladies out there, first of all, yay, that's awesome that you get this time. Ladies, seriously, being single is amazing. I want you to hear that. It's really your time, mama, to shine, to kind of figure out, to listen to these podcasts so you can really learn yourself of what it is that you're looking for, what's triggering you. But there's nothing wrong with being single.
Yeah.
It's actually awesome. Okay. There's nothing wrong with being single. And so I love that Flora said that because she was saying, for an example, if someone is asking you that question and it really, truly genuine, nothing's wrong with you, but if it does, work up something, that's really good because that's really an indicator of something that you gotta dig a little deeper at. Okay, I love this, Flora. That's really good. That's really good.
Because in the old paradigm, it was like, how dare they ask that question? What business is it of theirs? Like, why, and everything is external, right? Okay. But in this new reality that we're living in now, why is this bothering me? Why does this bother me? Like, why can't I just not care and just be like, because I am. Thanks, bye. And all that says is that there's something there to be unwound. There's something there to be figured out. There's something there that's deeper than just this question, and the more we can focus on what triggers us, the more we can start to really understand ourselves, and understand who we are.
I just had a thought right now, Flora. I just had a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think people in general, overall, they're willing to read a book when it comes to, the matters of the heart? They're willing to truly, genuinely search the internet, do research, and what's wrong? What do I need to do? How do I need to act? How do I need to show up? Right? Like, oh, okay. So what's the pickup line? What can I do to get that person? So it's a lot of chase. It's a lot of get. Why do you think also people don't really truly understand the value of actually talking to a professional? And like you guys, we're not trying to have a conversation so you can just go work with a professional, even though I would speak more of yourself and I would speak for Flora today too. She's going to be like, I hope she's agreeing with me. But this type of work, this deeper work, you can't do it alone. You actually need a professional. What is the stigma? Why are people, either are they afraid or they're not sure? Are they embarrassed? Why aren't they, reaching out? Like you reach out to a trainer. You know what I mean? So if you have a problem with your physical health, you're really willing to go and work with a trainer to get your body,
yeah.
What's going on? Why? What do you think happened?
So I might give a little bit of an unpopular answer here, but let's face it, we're raised in a patriarchal world where men, have run the show. And our feelings, intuition, and all things like naturally feminine, have been completely and totally sidelined, and just ignored and thought unimportant and emotional and stupid. And where we've come to is a reality where thinking more does not get us out of any kind of emotional issue. If you don't know how to feel your feelings, and there is a way to do it, right? If you don't know how to process through your feelings, and most of us have not been taught to do that, you will be stuck in that emotion, or that emotion will be stuck in you forever. And that's why we get triggered.
Okay. Wow. Say that again. Explain that one more time. I want you guys to hear this, how she broke this down.
So the emotion the lack of processing of your emotional, whatever it is for you as a kid, gets stuck inside of you. Then you never learn to process emotions. And then later on in life, you get triggered and you wonder, why am I so triggered? Or why did I get so angry? Or why did I get so sad? Or why did, you know what I mean? Why do I feel like I have to run away? Or why do I always feel like I have to run away when somebody, tries to get a little too close to me? Right? Because you never learned to properly process your feelings. You never were taught that your emotions were important. Your emotions, more than likely, were never supported or validated. And so you live a life that you also don't process your emotions and you also don't validate your own emotions. And you just try to put on a mask to be what the world said you were supposed to be.
But it's not really genuinely your true self because you're not allowing that to come up. Yeah, and I believe in that. That's really good you're talking about that because me as, I'm a relationship expert, but I also am a feminine embodiment practitioner. And that's really important that you said that because it is really, truly, genuinely learning how to process through that emotion and allowing that to release and to realize that you're actually going to be okay.
Right.
And, but often we don't even want to go there. So you think that that truly kind of stops us first also for getting, that, that help we need?
I think it's the again, I'm sorry, I kind of went off
Okay, no,
track,
that's
but
fair.
it was the answer, right? Which is that we think if we get enough information, if we search enough on the internet, we can figure it out ourselves.
Okay. Yeah.
You know? And then, I mean, usually like there is like a cost associated, right? So people stop there. There's belief systems associated. So people stop there. Like, oh, therapy, that's for crazy people or, like the mental health conversation that is all too wild in our country, right? And then people just think that they could think their way through it, right? And
Yes.
they don't understand the importance of the emotional health, right? Because we don't support that as a culture either, and so you just have a lot of people that don't think it's going to work and don't think that they can get there. I've been on, how many different calls have I been on where people are just like, no, you're great, you sound great, you seem great, but this just I don't see myself changing. Like, I don't know. Do people really change, And I know, like, mind you, I was that person,
Let's talk about that. That's good.
before I did this work, like,
No, let me ask you that.
yeah.
That's where we're gonna go. This is really good. You guys listen to this. So she left this at why people sometimes, and this is what I want to say too. And really, when it comes to the matters of our hearts, for me personally, and I really think it's, come on, you guys. I mean, it really is one of the most important things because the matters of our heart start with ourselves, how we feel about ourselves and we live ourselves. But finding a person that you both can have that type of connection, that you both can grow together. And like we were actually meant to be connected. We weren't meant, that's what I always say, Flora, we weren't meant to be on an island by ourselves.
No.
You can be on that island, ladies, be a single lady for a moment and have a great time and figure that all out. But eventually, we're meant for that connection, right? So I love that when you talk to people, and so do I, that's something that actually does come up. I hear too. Well, I don't know. This is a good one. I think that's for the other people. Oh no, you just don't understand. You don't know me. You have no idea, how I grew up or what has happened to me. Or I just no, it's not in the cards for me. Or I'm already at an age right now that I'm just not sure. I'd rather be single. But really deep down inside, they're like, nah, I do want something different. But you really don't believe it's possible.
Right.
Now, what I've learned, and let me ask you this it's a two-part question. So what I've learned, and let me ask you this. Can this actually change? Can people shift? Can things get better? Can they find true alignments? Can they have great relationships?
Yes. Yes, they can.
Yes, you guys. Okay, so that's the next question. So take me back to how you grew up.
Okay.
How you grew up. Did you grow up with a mom and a dad? Did you have any siblings? I want to know about you.
Okay. So I grew up in New York, right? Brooklyn and then Staten Island. And my parents are Soviet immigrants, so Ukrainian, uh, but at the time it was the Soviet Union. I was born here. And I give that background only to say that, Russians, Ukrainians, Soviets, very skeptical people, right? New York, very skeptical culture. Okay. So I did not come from like California where it's like everybody's like smiling in the sun and like, yeah, it's possible. You know what I mean? um, and I came here and I was very stuck in my ways and my beliefs of this is how it's supposed to be. Everything's black and white. I never, whatever it was, right? Like I always exercise or I would never get divorced. Like, any of these always or nevers that people do. And I was very like fixed about how things
Yeah,
are.
you literally had a fixed mindset. You know which one I love? I love. I'm a mother. I have a lot of children, and I love when people see that 2-year-old at the grocery store having a tantrum, and they're like, "Ugh, I would never, never my child." I'm like, really? Well, when you're walking around with a 2-year-old, you're gonna realize that's a 2-year-old brain, and that's how they express themselves, and it's not a personal thing. And so don't even say that. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I think people have that. Yeah, that like I got it. Got that. You were just like, nah, I don't know. I will have a great relationship. Oh, that's not going to happen to me. That's not how. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm. That's relatable. That's
Yeah,
really
and also that's not how I work, right? Like, so for example, I'll use like a weight loss thing because it's kind of easier. Like, I had a friend who became a coach like several years before I did, like 5-10 years before I did, right? And she was trying, as she was learning, she was trying to like help me. She became a health coach, and so she was like, she's like, no, just get out of bed and do 5 minutes of exercise a day, or just 5 minutes of walking around, and just start there. And I'm like, what? If I'm not doing an hour of exercise, there's no way. And I won't even, why bother? And the slow and steady doesn't work for me. And that's not me. And that's not how I do things. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, several years later, post-divorce, in my glow up, how do you think I lost weight, right? Like it was step by step. It was little incremental growth, right? But at the time, I couldn't hear it because I was very closed because life was just kind of like moving along at that time, right? And I didn't have my big awakening. Well, why did I have my big awakening? Because everything fell apart all at once, right?
Okay, so take me back. What happened?
I got divorced. Well, not even divorced. First we moved to San Francisco from LA. So I moved the whole entire family, myself, my son, my ex-husband from LA, where we'd been living for only a few years, to San Francisco.
Okay. And at this time in your life, how long were you with your ex-husband?
2000, like 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. Yeah.
So you guys used to live. So you're okay. Let me go a little back before we even get here. Let's go back a little. When you met your ex-husband, what was that courtship like for you?
This is not a relationship I like to talk about, only because, and I'll, it's not that I
just give us like, yeah, you don't have to go whatever you're comfortable with.
It's just not where my story begins.
I want to hear where your story begins.
I was 24, he was 21. We had met in London. He came to New York to go to film school, and we ended up getting married really because he needed a green card, we were together and we were planning on staying together, but ultimately we, it
was more of a convenience. It wasn't like you had a court.
It was more of anxious attachment. Okay. That's really what it was. It was me telling him, there is no way you're leaving me now. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to keep you here. I don't have any idea if we're actually going to stay married forever, but there is zero chance that I am letting you leave me.
Okay.
So that's really what it was,
That's really what it was. Yeah. Okay. So then now you're married, and then you guys have been together for a certain amount of time, and then you're now moving from LA to San Francisco. So what happens here? Okay.
So he wanted to go to film school. We moved to LA for him to go to film school. Then I get a job up in San Francisco. I have family in San Francisco. We moved to San Francisco. Within the year, my dad announces that he has lung cancer. He was a smoker for 40 years. I lose my job. I get pregnant. My dad dies. I get divorced. So that within a 2-year period, like all of that happened.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And my job, as most New Yorkers will understand this, like what you do is who you are.
Okay.
And so I was in fashion at the time. So that was my identity, And so when I lost that job, it was not just, I lost my dad, I lost my marriage, I lost my kids half the time, I lost my identity, right? And not just my job, but also my identity. And so it was like, I don't know, somebody just like wiped the slate clean and was like, what do you want to do now? And we were at a place where we were going to lose our apartment too. So
everything. It was all happening. Yeah, it was trust. It was a boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
So what happened to you during that time?
So what happened to me? I think I took my first personal development thing, which funny enough is also the friend that I was talking about. That was
was it really? Yeah. Okay.
She had recommended. And from that moment on, my mind was opened up because
you were open. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Sometimes it takes I know. Sometimes, we're just kind of going along life, right? So it seems like you were just, doing your thing with your ex-husband, trying to figure this out. But sometimes it does take something catastrophic, like a death, something for an awakening, for something like, I gotta, we don't always have to have something like that though, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
but
then
I do think most people get to it via some sort of rock bottom situation,
Okay.
Yep. And because there's one of my favorite podcasters says, you're not going to go on a diet if your pants fit, like nobody's going on a diet because their pants fit great. People are only going on a diet when your pants get too tight, so so oftentimes we do have to hit that like rock bottom moment or see that all of the coping mechanisms we have, all of the like attributes that we have just aren't working to get us where we want to be. And then that was it. I just kind of started on this road of self-development, opening myself up. And then also simultaneously, now I'm divorced. Now I started to become a health coach and I started to date, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, wow. Is that when you really saw yourself?
I started off going into like health coaching, life coaching.
Yeah.
But because of my dating experiences and because of the difficulty I was having and trying to make sense of it, I started to look for what was wrong there. And the dating stuff felt a lot more authentic to me, right? Because it was really something I was struggling with. Diet stuff was also that, but like it just didn't have the same resonance, and I didn't and I felt like I really made the transformation within my dating world, understanding the attachment stuff, understanding the subconscious stuff, and really making that change, that I was just, could be more valuable. I also became at that time, by the way, a matchmaker, right? So,
fantastic.
I was also a matchmaker for 5 years. It gave me an outlet. You see, when you start, this is also something I want, that I think is more important about this whole story.
Yeah.
When you start focusing on what is authentically you, the world, the universe, God, whatever your beliefs are, meets you, right? And I just think it's the energy.
Yes,
it's the energy of magnetism, because I was starting to like follow my own path, right? Which with this coaching stuff in general. And I was struggling with dating and I started writing. I haven't like published a book, but I did start writing a book about dating at that time. I lost my job and I'm looking in the papers. I have no idea what to do. I've done fashion my whole life. I'm in San Francisco. There's not a big fashion market. Like, I'm just like, what am I going to do? And lo and behold, I find an ad for a matchmaker, right? And it's my prime interest in the moment. You know what I mean? And so I just, yeah. And I just feel like that is just one little blip as to how the universe starts meeting you, how things just start falling into place. I go for the interview, I got the job. It wasn't really that hard to do. It wasn't really that much of a problem, you know? Now I'm working in the industry. Now I go from life coaching to dating coaching, right? Because it just makes sense. And now I have
and you're actually, what really makes sense too is you're actually, this is what makes, this is why you're doing what you're doing and you're so good at it, because your perspective is, yes, you came as you learned and got training, all that as a professional, but you also, which was really kind of cool, were also experiencing it yourself. Yeah. So you were like, I mean, wow. So you can really look at it and feel it exactly what now your clients gone through and where that's really good. So when you started in this dating world, you know, because I'm telling you right now, so a lot of the women, you know, so we have women that are single that listen to this episode. So the women that are single that listen, and we have women that are married. And this episode is for love. So if you're married, you're single, you're a guy, you know, you get so much value out of these conversations. Right. But for the women that are single, and they really, truly, I am telling you, I don't know if you hear the same thing. They, for the most part, do not like dating, struggle with dating. It's not fun. It's exhausting. And, you know, there's no great men anymore. They're all gone. Did you know that, Flora? They're all gone. They're all gone. I'm not kidding you. They're gone. They vanished the world. And I get this, and this is okay. I love this, you guys. This is so cute. Or I get, no. Nope. I live in New York. There is no good men in New York. Okay, that's it. Or I got this other one. I got one the other day. She's like, no, I live in Chicago. I said, there's no good men. She's like, there's not even one. I said, really? There's not even one? And we had the funniest conversation. She's like, I don't know what to tell you. And so anyway, so they go through that thing because, like you said, it's their, you know, limiting beliefs. It's their programming. It's their attachment. So what did you start
social media? That's like reinforcing all of this.
Yes. And I say this probably almost, if all episodes, but not all of them, but all of them. But here we go. And I'm going to say this right now. Ladies, listen to me. I'm not playing with you. Listen to me. I've been doing this for a long time too. I got this. I'm going to tell you something right now. The majority, I promise you this, the majority of the men out there are actually good people. I'm telling you right now. There is such a small percentage of real diagnosed narcissists. Yeah. There's no, you know what I mean? I mean, we all have narcissistic tendency anyway. So let me just tell you guys that right now. But there's a really small percentage. And when you had that awakening and you were, you know, doing the dating and you were like, oh, what are some things that were coming up for you? How did you learn like this shift? And you're like, okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, and I know this, the story repeats itself, right? Through clients and people over and over again, right? Because you get out in the world after, I was married for 14 years, okay? You get out into the dating market and you, and you're excited probably a lot of times, you know, or nervous, you know, but ultimately one of the first people that you connect with, you think they open you up all over again. It's like, oh my God, I didn't know I could feel these feelings again. I didn't realize that I could, you know, experience love again. And I feel like I'm 16 years old all over again, you know? Well, for some of us, that goes on for a bit, but for a lot of us like me, right? That happened like 5-ish times with some terrible ending to it.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah.
You know, some toxic, horrible situation.
Yeah.
with like a narcissist or,
An actual one, like a
well, what I would have said at the time, I'm air quotes, by the way, for people that are
we're doing the air quotes. Yeah.
Like at the time I would have been one of those people, but I started realizing that I feel like I'm 16 years old all over again, because like I have these feelings. I'm getting completely attached to someone that isn't even showing me really a lot of attention. And then I don't know, like, I can't make it stick. I don't know what is wrong. I don't know why they don't want to talk to me. I want to talk to them all the time. Why don't they want to talk to me all the time? And I couldn't sit with my own discomfort, right? I was just like kind of like a little bit of like a basket case, or it felt like that anyway,
You had that, you're the anxiety, the thinking, the analyzing, the constant like
rumination,
to get a call.
Yes. Yeah, obsession, checking.
Made it about you. I see that. I totally get this. We think, oh my gosh, why aren't they calling me? What did I do? What happened?
Right. Okay. Right. And for anybody who's watching Love Island right now, put a 2.0. Okay. So that was me. And I couldn't understand why, but what I did realize is that it was a different person, but the feeling inside was the same. So it was, like I said, there were like 5-ish people, if not more than that. And they were quick in and outs. But for me, the faces changed. The feeling was the same. And I started to feel like something was really, really wrong with me. Like there were like legitimately something was wrong with me. I was
and you guys, if you are listening to this episode on audio and you're not on YouTube, when you see her, you're gonna be like, what is she talking about? What do you mean something? Look at her. She's gorgeous. I mean, I'm just saying, you're a beautiful woman. So I know, but it has nothing to do with that. It has to do how we feel. I get that. Yeah. Because we physically can look amazing, but we don't feel that. We feel something's wrong with us. Okay.
Exactly. And that energy,
feeling something was wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And that energy comes across. And then I read attached, And here was another, like me being fixed and skeptical. My friend had told me about it 2 years prior. That I was for prank. I was like, I don't need that. I'm fine, or whatever. So, so that was another. So when I read it, it was like, and a lot of people again have this experience. Like, oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, holy cow, And while
tell the listeners the name of the book and the author, so if they can,
it's Attached by Amir Levine. And at this point, given a lot of like updates that have happened, it's Attachment Styles 101, Attachment Styles for Adults 101, I would kind of say. There's a lot more information out there now, but it is a great, perfect read to start understanding what attachment styles are.
I think it's an introduction. It's a good introduction. But when it really comes down to attachment styles, and I've had other attachment experts on the show, and this is what I know about your guys' work, which is amazing. You actually have to work with someone. I'm telling you right now, because you can't ask yourself the questions that a professional, like Flora, can ask you. She can actually break it down for you in the different levels. So it's not like something you like that book. I would definitely, if you're curious, have that be an opening. But if it really resonates with you, like you guys listen, if you're really like, wow, and now you do want to get a better understanding of your attachment, that's why I have guests and experts like Flora. You can actually reach out to them. You can actually work with them. Okay, so keep going. What were you saying?
So I read that book, and that book like clarified for me what was wrong. So it's the awareness that we were talking about in the beginning. Like, okay, I was like, all right, now I know what the problem is. Now, how do I fix it? And it wasn't until I tried a lot of things, read a lot of things, followed all the videos, watched all the YouTubes, trying to understand and figure out what to do. And you can only sit on your hands for so long and not follow your subconscious, like your natural subconscious rhythm, right? And your subconscious is full of your belief system, whether that's limiting beliefs or not limiting beliefs, right? Like that all lives in your subconscious. So that's why reading, information gathering, watching videos isn't going to change your behavior. It is going to give you information. It will not change your behavior. Your behavior lives in that subconscious space with all of your beliefs. And so until I understood that and until I figured that part out, which is really what I focus on with people, nothing actually changed. I got more and more informed. I, can manage a few little like waiting periods for somebody to call, but eventually I'd still freak out because consciously it wasn't resolved.
It wasn't resolved. Yes, that's what we talk about. There's a deeper level here. Exactly. And when you said even earlier, love blocks. That's I call. You said how our emotions get stuck in our bodies. I call them love blocks. I said our love blocks get stuck in our bodies, and we got to get that energy out. So, what shift happened to you? Because remember, I asked you that question. You guys remember the question I asked her? I said, I really don't. This is not been asking it. The question I asked her, I'm going to bring her back. No, seriously, what was the major shift? Because one of the questions that I asked you was, if somebody finds themselves in these situations, and I think so many people do, find ourselves in the situation and exactly how you've been explaining it today. I asked you, are we, just having a foo-foo conversation, or is actual things can change? Can we actually make real change? Even if we've had a fixed mindset, can we make it? Can things change, or we can have a growth mindset just because we looked at certain things for a certain way for a certain time? Can that actually change? And you know what you said to me? Yes. Because it's true. I believe that too. That's why I'm doing the work I'm doing.
Yeah, it happens. And I'm here, and I'm a really bad liar. So if I was lying, you guys would know.
So what happened with you?
Yeah.
So you're in this, you're this like phase in your life, and you're like, what is going on?
Right. And so it was the work that I do today, that I do with people, that really made the shift. It was really where the change happens, where you really hit the subconscious space and you do the processing within the subconscious space. It shifts your beliefs, and literally the next day you don't feel the same, and it can happen that quickly.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And when you started doing that, and you started doing that work, and first of all, that's really powerful. You guys, seriously, that's why I want these conversations to happen. I hope this inspires you too, because I did the same thing. I had to go inwards too. This episode's not about me. It's not about Miss Charlene today. It's about, information so you guys can apply it into your life. But nothing was going to change for me either, because I had my little fit like you. I love the way that you broke it down and explained what happens to us. It was so good. I'm gonna re-listen to that part. You did a really great job, and I love how that it goes from here. But when you actually go under the hood and get the help and do the work, things actually shift in your life, and you look and you're like, oh wow,
yeah. And you go from a life of no possibilities to full possibilities.
Full possibilities. Yes. So what ended up happening to you? Are you in a relationship right now?
I'm not, but I'm happy.
I know you seem so happy, and I knew you weren't, but your energy, and you seem so peaceful. And like, what is it like for you now after you did all that?
I mean, it was a big shift, and the work never ends, right?
Yeah, of course.
But I've manifested everything I wrote on my list 5 years ago when I, really started in this process. And I'd have a career that I could have never dreamed of, right? I was in fashion. I have my own business. I never wanted my own business, despite having been, let go from most jobs that I've had, was always pointing me in that direction, but I refused to listen because I was so fixed on what society said was going to work.
Yes.
Now?
Yes. I love how you explained that. That was really good.
And so and I now realize that anything is possible. It literally is about what I can open myself up to and what I can, what I have the like persistence and resilience to create myself, and that's how I feel about relationships. And that's how I feel about, anything and everything, money, abundance,
Money, everything, health. It breaks my heart sometimes because, I talk to a lot of women and I'm in that world, right? Because, we're in this world of love and relationships, which is so awesome. I mean, it's just makes our hearts feel warm and fuzzy, but obviously there's all these things that come with it too. But what I love is that this is where I start getting a little emotional. I want everyone to hear us loud and clear. We all have an opportunity. We all have an opportunity I'm seriously, to shift things in our lives. If things are not feeling good or things are off or something, or we're not getting that, that feeling, that desire that we want. And I want people to gift, GIFT, the investment in investing in yourself and working with a professional.
Yeah.
And not just any professional, you guys, specifically in what you are dealing with. Okay? What you're dealing with. And if you are, like he even said earlier, she was a matchmaker. So let's say you're like, no, I'm pretty good, but okay, work with a matchmaker if you're more in a different place in your life. If you are struggling and you're kind of like, I can't get that feeling, like you said, work with someone like Flora that really will break down, because we didn't even get into the details of it, because I wanted to hear more of the overall, because the details of the attachment is when you get to do that work yourself. You get to really understand the different ways that you're showing up and how that actually plays effect when it comes to, the matters of the heart and how we feel about ourselves. So work with someone that really understands that can help you deconstruct it, okay, to empower you to make that shift. But whatever it is, don't just sit there anymore. You're worth it. You're worth the investment. Tell people you're worth the investment.
Yeah. I think that's one of the hardest things for people.
Yeah.
Is, again, I get on sales calls, right? And a lot of times people are like, oh, but I can't because I need to give money to this thing or that thing or this part of my life or that part of my life or my kids or whatever it is. And they're never willing to invest in themselves as much as they are willing to invest in other people. Yes. And that shows up in why they've come to me to begin with, right? Like, you're here because you didn't invest in yourself 5 years ago or 10 years ago, that's why you are here now. So how much longer are you going to do this again?
Right. Because let me say something, a great relationship with yourself, it starts first getting clear, taking the layers down and really start realizing, okay, what it is that I want, what type of relationship that I truly, genuinely long for. Because unless we start getting clear, we don't even know what that is. Like you said earlier, sometimes we think it's just, and there's nothing wrong with a 6'3" tall man. No, we're like, hell, no, but that's not always what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that. Yeah. There's it's how you want to feel with that man. Okay. It's like how you want to feel with that man. But whatever that is happening to you or whatever's coming up in this conversation, we both want to just say this to you. It can shift. I promise you from the bottom of my heart, you're talking to another professional. It can shift. We're not stuck. It's not doomsday. This is not just who you are. It is in the cards for you. You know what I mean? Can you talk a little more about that again?
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that you said that because, that was my mantra. I had 2 mantras. this is just how I am. So what? I scream sometimes. What's the big deal? So what? You know, I'm a good person, And then the other one was with my ex-husband. It was, if he would just change, then I could be happy.
Oh, if only you just put us in a second episode. We're about to wrap this one up.
Yeah. So if you're saying either of those things, I mean, couldn't be like you're headed towards a rock bottom,
And if you're in a relationship, because that really was, it's at the end, but it's okay. If you're in a relationship, and that's another thing that we gotta pay attention to. Pay attention to this. If you're in a relationship with your man, and you really, truly, from the bottom of your heart, and there's nothing wrong with you, it's okay. It's not like you're bad. Okay, no, this is just a real question. If you're in a relationship, and from the bottom of your heart, if you really are looking at your man and you really believe that with all your heart, you're like, I swear to you, if he changes, I'm going to feel better.
Yeah.
Call somebody. Get the help.
Call a friend.
Call a friend. Because let me tell you something right now. We'll bring her back for the second half of this episode. Because I'm telling you right now, we didn't even get into that. This is what really blows minds too, is that those men of ours, they mirror us. So that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? They mirror us and they really give us an opportunity. Because that's another thing too. Flora, I'm going to take us on a side note here. I love that people, when you're single or if you're in a relationship, you do this work. Trust me, it doesn't matter. You do this work. You do this work on your attachment. You do this work on all this. Single, married, do work. Okay. And I think it should be mandatory. Right after, right? Like, before college. Oh my gosh, couldn't that be amazing? Can we start a school like that? So you go school, you get right, you get the information, you learn how to do the math, you do the spelling, okay, fine, beautiful, whatever. And you guys, schools, we need to start doing, balancing the checkbooks, like the basic stuff too. Okay. But in between, hi. I don't know if I'm saying something serious right now, but in between, I think there needs to be a space for all of us, especially coming out of childhood. I think there needs to be right. Like I always feel like we come out of a jungle. We're like, okay, now what do I do? Which is it's childhood thing. Now what do we do? But then we put us in college, and we're still like, I'm so lost still. But I think there needs to be a space. Please, let's do this. There needs to be a space where people have an opportunity and take this time to heal, to learn, to see, to do all that. Yeah. I'm actually seriously, my life is where I'm at now only because I did the work.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine, because I was on a train wreck, where I was going.
Right.
If I didn't just say, enough is enough.
Yeah.
Work with someone, girl. And I did. It changed my life. Nothing's perfect.
Right.
Charlene's still working on Charlene.
Yeah.
But it never ends. But I can truly say I'm in a absolutely. Can things change? And I had the most also fixed mindset, which I related to, like, I thought things were just, that's how they are. And that's it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. How do we get into your world?
You can follow me on Instagram, which is at redo.love. On TikTok, I'm at redo_love. And I've just started my YouTube, which is at redo love.
How did they work with you? You do one-on-one?
I do one-on-one. Mostly, I am going to be starting a group thing very soon.
Okay.
And so you can reach out on any one of those platforms, like specifically on Instagram, it's better to reach out. You can also go to my website, www.redo.love. And you can find me there as well and send me a message or book an appointment with me.
And what have you noticed, like, in the most part, when clients were coming to you? When clients are reaching out to you, and you said it's usually, I feel like that myself. It's usually because they're kind of at that wit's end.
Uh-huh.
Is that what usually happens? They just are kind of...
A lot of clients reach out to me, especially because of my content that's more like focused on attachment issues. So a lot of clients that come to me either as avoidance themselves or via an avoidant discard. So people who've, been blindsided by a relationship, didn't expect it to end, don't know what happened, or have like a pattern of, failed relationships, don't understand why, know they're doing something wrong, can't figure it out. But the work I do, it's not superficial. It's not about what to wear on a date. It's not around what to say. It's really like really getting deep, understanding yourself, dealing with childhood trauma, understanding how your patterns formed, because it typically comes from childhood. And when I say childhood trauma, I want to be really clear. I don't necessarily mean big trauma, horrible, terrible things. I mean, like something as simple as just your emotional needs not being properly cared for. And a lot of us don't recognize that, because I will tell you that most of my time experience leading up to understanding it, I kept saying, but nothing happened to me. Like I had a good childhood, and I did, like overall I had a good childhood, but there were misses in terms of my emotional support. Right. And through nobody's fault, So I think that's really important, because I think a lot of people, even that come to me today, they're like, I don't want to blame my parents. I love my parents. We're not blaming anyone. This isn't about blame. It's just understanding how these patterns have developed and played out because of everybody's best intentions.
Yeah, we're not blaming anyone, you guys. It's just the actual reality.
Right.
You know what I mean? Regardless, if you could have been raised, I am not even kidding you, with what you considered the perfect parents in a whole. There's no perfect parents, but let's say you have, and you still will come out of that with fuck. That's just life. That's just real. It's just because we process differently. Things affect us differently. And that's where the childhood things really start playing. And it does come down to our nervous system, our caregivers, how we got wired from the very beginning. This is real stuff. This is science. This is not foo-foo. That really happens to us, and how our nervous system gets wired, and how that affects and how we feel, and the attachments. So she's an expert. I'm telling you right now, she's the expert. So get into her world if this is something that you really need understanding with. And in her content does have a lot of breakdown with that, so you can kind of figure that out beforehand. Is there anything that maybe I did not ask you that you wanted to share before I have to let you go?
I don't know. There's so much in so little time. Now, I think that overall, if I had to leave people with one message, it would be to be true to yourself and say it out loud, because that's a lot of times the missing key. It's even sometimes when we know who we are, we're afraid to say it out loud. And the more you say it out loud, the more you will start to see the universe meeting you.
Ooh, I love that. Thank you for this incredible conversation. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. No, seriously, thank you.
Same. Thank you. This is such a pleasure, and you're so fun. Thank you.
Thank you. And to next time, cheers to great love. If you're loving this podcast and these incredible conversations, please hit the subscribe button and leave a 5-star review. Don't miss an episode, because each week I'll be bringing on guests and experts who will share their knowledge about love, dating, and relationships, so you can apply it into your own life. I'll see you next week. And until then, cheers to great love.